I still remember the exact moment my world cracked open. I was standing in his sleek corner office, the city skyline mocking me through those floor-to-ceiling windows. My hands trembled as I held the envelope with my monthly sales report. 5 years. 5 years I had poured my soul into this company, working late nights, skipping family dinners, even coming in on weekends when everyone else stayed home. And all I asked for was a small raise. Just enough to breathe in this brutal economy. My boss, Mr. Richard Harlan, leaned back in his leather chair, that signature smirk spreading across his face like poison. He looked me up and down, eyes cold. "Don't complain, Sarah. This is all you can handle right now. Economy's tough. Be grateful you even have a job." His words landed like a slap. I felt my cheeks burn with shame and rage. I wanted to scream, to tell him how I had covered for his mistakes, how I had lost sleep closing deals so he could take the credit. But I just nodded, whispered, "Thank you," and walked out with my head down. That night I cried in my small apartment, staring at the pile of bills on the kitchen table. My mother's medical expenses, my little sister's college fees, my own broken dreams. I had given this man everything, and he treated me like I was disposable. But what I didn't know that day was that his smirk wasn't just arrogance. It was the beginning of something much darker. I started noticing things. How he favored the younger, prettier interns who laughed at his jokes. How my best accounts were quietly transferred to his nephew. How my performance reviews suddenly dropped even though my numbers stayed strong. I felt invisible. Broken. Used. Little did I know, the universe was watching. And sometimes, when pain becomes too heavy, the shadows start listening to your whispers. The weeks that followed were pure heartbreak. Every morning I walked into that office with a smile I didn't feel, while inside I was shattering. Richard's smirk became constant. He would call me into meetings just to humiliate me in front of the team. "Sarah here thinks she deserves more," he'd say with a laugh. "But we all know some people are meant for the background, right?" The team would chuckle awkwardly. Some looked away in pity. Others joined in, afraid to lose their own positions. My closest friend in the office, Mia, pulled me aside one day in the break room. "Sarah, you need to be careful." I overheard him talking to HR. "He's building a case to let you go." Something about poor team fit. I felt sick. This was the same man I had defended when rumors swirled about him skimming company funds. The same man whose wife once thanked me for covering up his affairs so their perfect family image wouldn't break. I went home that night and burned the last bit of loyalty I had left. I started digging. Late nights, secret files, old emails. What I found shattered me completely. Richard wasn't just unfair, he was stealing. Small amounts at first, then bigger. Falsified expenses. Money that should have gone to employee bonuses funneled into his private accounts. And worst of all, he had used my name on some documents to cover his tracks. I was going to be his scapegoat. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. My heart drove in darkness. But in that darkness, something shifted. Pain turned into power. I remembered the old stories my grandmother used to tell me, about women who didn't wait for justice. Women who called on forces older than any corporate ladder. One rainy evening, I found myself in a small occult shop on the outskirts of the city. The owner, an elderly woman with kind but knowing eyes, listened to my story without judgment. She gave me what I needed. A black candle, dried herbs, a mirror, and instructions whispered. I wasn't evil, I was done being silent. That night, I performed the ritual in my room. I lit the candle, stared into the mirror, and spoke every ounce of my pain into the flame. I didn't ask for his death. I asked for truth. For his mask to crumble. For him to feel exactly what I felt. The next days were strangely quiet. Then everything exploded. Richard walked into the office Monday morning looking pale. By lunch, auditors were in the building. Someone anonymous had sent them detailed files with proof of every shady transaction. The documents had my name on them, but the trail led straight back to him. I watched from my desk as security escorted him out. That famous smirk was gone. His face was twisted in disbelief and fear. As he passed my desk, our eyes met for one final second. He knew. Deep down, he knew. Entire staff was stunned. Whispers spread like wildfire. How did this happen? Who did this? No one ever suspected quiet, broken Sarah. Within weeks, the company offered me Richard's position with a substantial raise and back pay for all the years I was underpaid. I accepted, but not for revenge anymore. I accepted so I could change things, for the women who come after me. Richard lost everything. His reputation, his fancy car, even his wife. Last I heard, he was begging for consulting gigs and struggling to pay his own bills. Sometimes I light a candle not for revenge, but in gratitude. Because I learned the most powerful lesson of my life. Never let anyone tell you this is all you can handle. Your pain has power. Your silence can become thunder. And when the world tries to break you, sometimes you must step into the shadows to find your light again. If you're watching this and someone is smirking at your worth right now, trust me, the universe is keeping count. Stay strong. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, share it with who needs to hear. They aren't alone. I turned to old traditions for strength, and then I made sure the truth came out. Until next, protect your energy.